I think that people should be allowed to have guns because we're gonna have guns in this country anyway. Because there's gonna be a way to get them in. Gangs are always gonna have them, and one day we're gonna need to protect ourselves. And we don't know if we can really trust the police all the time because not all of them are trustable. And what if one day, God forbid, we do need these to protect ourselves and we're defenseless? You know?
I personally believe in gun control, and I think that it's something that the entire country needs to take a huge step in pursuing.
I feel that the government should have more control over firearms because, as you hear every day on the news, there's always something new, someone getting shot, something happening where someone's doing something irrational that they have a gun for some reason. I believe in some cases, some people shouldn't be able to have guns, you know, hunting and other things, but it really needs to get more locked down and better control of really what's going on.
I don't think so. I think because of like the original amendment where people have the right to bear arms, it should stay that way. They should change it.
We need a lot more gun control. I think there are certain weapons only like the police and the military should have, and not ordinary citizens like us. Like semi-automatic weapons, like Uzis, machine guns, etc. like that should be only for the police and military, and not sold at gun shows or gun shops.
I think people have the right to bear arms, and as long as they, you know, get the guns legally and how they're supposed to, I think that they're allowed to have guns.
I am for it. You know, I think that, you know, while people do have a right to protect themselves, I do think that, you know, I don't think there's any reason why someone should have, but, you know, certain types of guns in their home. That's just my opinion now.
I don't know that much about it, but I personally feel that there should be less guns.
I think that the government should have control over guns just because of everything that's been happening within the last couple of years, all the shootings in school. I think that it should be more heavily regulated. I think that people should be evaluated before they're allowed to purchase a gun. I don't think that just anybody should be able to have a gun. If people are mentally unhinged, they shouldn't be able to have the power to shoot somebody and kill them.
I do. I just think there should be background checks on people. I think people should be able to own guns because, like, that's necessary. And, I mean, they're enjoyable, you know, for some people. But in terms of government control, like, it has to be there. And, like, kids can't be, like, shooting up schools and, like, getting their hands on guns as easy as they are. Like, people should have spotted them way earlier. That makes sense.
Alright,
I think it's okay for people to own guns as long as they're responsible owners and it's not, you know, getting in the wrong hands, like minors.
Yeah, the same. I feel the same way.
I love it.
I feel like there should be a little bit more gun control because, you know, there's some scary stuff going on out there in the world.
Yeah, I'd rather feel safe with my future family growing up in this country.
Yeah.
I don't really know enough about the issue, but I would say, after looking at like a couple things I've looked at, I'm anti-gun, but only because I looked at like some things that happened in Australia, and I know they outlawed guns in the 90s, and I saw that at least with them their crime rates and stuff went down. But I'm also a strong supporter of the Constitution, so I understand our right to bear arms, but I also think that people blow that out of proportion. I feel like the Constitution, strictly, it's about forming a militia, whereas I feel like people shouldn't be allowed to walk around with an AK-47. But at the same time, I do feel like people who are licensed and registered should be allowed to have a gun in their house for self-protection.
I think like guns are the problem. If like someone like really wanted to like hurt somebody, they would. But with like gun control, there should be like stricter options so it's not as easy for people that want to hurt people.
Yeah, or even like, it's not like anyone that has a gun is gonna like hurt someone, like that's not like why they have a gun, clearly, hopefully. But I mean, there should be strict restrictions on it to prevent something like that.
I mean, it's used as like a sport. I have a friend that is on the rifle team for the University of Kentucky. If you're responsible with it, it's not a problem.
Like if you belong to a range, then yeah, you can have a gun and whatever, but like the people who like are mentally challenged and like they shot up with Batman movie theater or whatever, like that's not, at that point they should be taken away.
like if you have a gun, there should be a solid reason for why you own that. Like it's such a dangerous weapon.
I mean, not just the right to their arms, and then it's like saying, oh, you can't have one.
You have the right, but like just like
you have to have a really good gun.
You need to use that right. For,
I mean,
like,
there's
a good reason, not just to have it.
Yeah.
I think it's a very sticky situation in the U.S. With a historical background. I'm actually a law and society major. I think people's personal views on issues such as like gun control, gay marriage, and stuff like that sometimes overshadow the actual like constitutional rights to it. So, I mean, Second Amendment right is like clear that you have the right to bear arms, but whether our legal system should change as we change over time is a question that I think should be up to the people. So I think referendums are like a good way to figure out whether it should be legal or it shouldn't be legal.
I think that you shouldn't take away the right to own guns, but the rules just need to be enforced more and make it harder for people who shouldn't get guns to obtain them. That's my opinion.
I do think there should be more control. After Sandy Hook in particular, there was a movement, and a lot of it is kind of common sense in my opinion about who should have access. A lot of people kind of frame it as like you're infringing on the Second Amendment, but I just look at it as like common sense solutions to gun violence in terms of like who is able to get people with mental illnesses, you know, restricting gun sales, like private gun sales and gun shows, as opposed to like getting them from more regulated places. And yeah, I think it's a pretty big issue for our country because like a lot of people don't realize how many people in our country die of gun-related deaths, and you can compare it to other countries without guns, and everyone has their own take on that statistic, but in general, like the United States, the gun deaths are so severe, and you obviously hear about these extreme cases in the news. Sandy Hook was a big one, but I guess like that's my feeling towards it, but I'm kind of pessimistic in terms of what will actually get done in regards to gun control in the future.
It's a little tricky to say because for those who are able to control like how much or what they've got, I see nothing wrong with it. But there's always going to be all those who are very questionable or very tough to see who are safe with it. I understand it's a right of the Constitution and all that, but at the same time, it comes down to how much could be limited, how much could be controlled. I feel like if somebody had one for a right of protection or one that was simple enough, that's perfectly fine. Having like a handgun on you, I see no flaw in any of that. But if you just got like a rifle or like 20 dozen rifles and like a shotgun on you, oh why not? It's like, okay, I get it, you like guns, but a little much if you ask me. I understand that. But the thing is, so many of those people that are very big aficionados of it always seem to think any method of control or any method of containing or lessening is infringing on their rights. But I see so many of the half-dozen other constitutional rights basically being abolished and stepped on every single day. For whatever reason, a piece of lead means a lot more than constitutional rights like freedom of speech or religious freedom. But when you mention anything about putting that gun down or putting something away, all hell hath broken loose.
I agree. I believe everyone should own a gun, and self-defense is necessary.
Yeah, I believe in owning a gun.